down deep. Okay, let's go in. Let's go show you what it looks like. Okay, this rope ladder is very difficult to use, but it's goddamn essential. It's the only way I have at the moment for properly getting in on the boat. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, we're at the back of the boat. Excuse me. And I'll just show you the propeller, and then come back up. Then we'll go down, take a look at the keel. It's got a lot of algae, but otherwise clear of all hard growth. Honest. 1, 2, 3. I hang all the fenders over the side before I do this, and I think that's smart, because man, I need a place to rest. You think, is it really exercise just holding your breath? God damn, it sure is to me. I'm just wasting it at the end of one of these trips. Okay, now I'm going to clear my mask. Don't fog it up. Okay, now I can see. Okay, let's go. Actually, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you one spot. It's directly under this set of fenders, actually. It's got some hard growth on it, and it's got a different colored bottom paint on it. And that's because that's where the old galley sink overboard was. And that was a repair job to take the valve out and fiberglass over the hole and then bottom paint it, supposedly. But whatever they use for bottom paint didn't seem to work very well, because it had the worst growth and I can't get it off. And frankly, I'm not too hip on just beating the shit out of it while the boat's in the water, because I mean, you never know, maybe the fiberglass job itself is not good, and then suddenly I have a 3-inch hole in my boat, and we don't need that, because that would sink. My bilge can't keep up with that. Okay, here we go, down to the keel. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Hey guys, sorry, that's enough for me. Okay, these are the tools I use. This is, just a giant putty knife. So it had a break in it, so the guy, another commercial hull cleaner, he gave it to me, but actually it works good, because now it bends, so I can press it down and it will follow the hull shape. That's the #1 tool. I have it tied to this old fender in case I should drop it in this water. But I say, I was stupid, because these lines, this line I chose, is my old cheap line, and that's fine, but it doesn't float, and it keeps getting tangled up in my feet.
I'm not really trying to clean per se, as I am feeling for abnormal foreign objects in my hair and stuff. I had another cruiser, someone who'd been cruising on a boat for years, thought I was the smartest guy ever for taking an old milk jug and turning into my outside shower. Just drilled a bunch of holes in the cap. Can you see that? Just drilled some holes in the cap. I was like, wow, that sucked. That was like 6 trips, 6 or 7 dives into this water that you can't see. Oh my god. Well, that sucked. That was about 7, 8 trips under the water. You know, visibility, you saw it, it's only a couple feet. And damn, that sucked it. Whew. Well, for one thing, the captain on this ship is pretty quick to award beer to anybody who does a halfway good job. And I'm giving myself credit for cleaning the hull. There was every bit of a half an inch of growth, you know, all over the place. Most of it algae, but the algae is more or less clinging to the barnacles, so I scraped it off with the putty knife. I used to use a plastic putty knife, but it just couldn't get barnacles off well enough. Sometimes you're beating on it, you know, I mean, to get them off the propeller, that was tough. They did not want to come off. So now it's a little after 10 o'clock in the morning. So, in the day of a life of a person sitting at anchor in Florida in the summertime, though it's friggin' hot, I'll tell you that. The general weather pattern in Florida is hot and calm in the morning when these high pressure systems are here. Hot and calm, then over the land, as the air heats up, the air rises and it brings all that moist air to high elevations, like 20, 30,000 feet even. And then it gets cold and the water condenses and you get afternoon rain. So in the morning, that's about the best time to go ashore. I don't like leaving the boat between 3 o'clock and 5, 6 o'clock because I'm always afraid I'll be away and the squalls will come and they'll come from a funky direction and blow the boat all over the place. I'll drag anchor, I'll lose the boat and not even be there to even try to fix it. So my general rule is I don't leave the boat in the afternoon. After the squalls have passed in the evening, like by 6, 7 o'clock, sure, I'll go ashore again. But mostly going ashore is for the morning, before noon, and late afternoon, early evening, which is what I'll do today, because I'm too late. So this is an oar for my dinghy, and it is from the spring of 2021, and here's what happened to it. It just snapped off. I'm going to chalk this up to embrittlement of plastics in the hot sun. There's really not much to this thing, so I'm going to set that down. This piece looks like it easily comes off, and I just had to pop in the little tip, that's the little spring buttons. It's kind of stiff, but I'm going to work that out of there and then drill another hole and then just slide the new piece on, because the diameter continues unabated for a few inches, so I can just do that and shorten the oar. I mean, I've got to do that in the short term because I need to have an oar, you know, in case the engine went out on the dinghy. You got to have 2. I've tried rowing a dinghy with just 1 oar before. That didn't go too well. That was down to Luperon, and it was a struggle when the outboard quit on me, and I had just 1 functional oar. You'd have to go way back in my episodes to find that one. About the time when I dropped the oar in the water, and then the same day, with me with 1 oar on an inflatable dinghy trying to row against the trade winds, I ended up having to get some of the local kids to tow me out to the boat I was on, as I recall. Yeah, that's not embarrassment, it's just that the bottom line is when you're in a dinghy and you're busting to and from shore, it's all fun and games when your motor works, but if the motor doesn't work, you really want a set of oars, and this can't be tolerated. I either got to buy new ones, probably what I'll head towards anyway, because you figure the other one's probably not too far from breaking itself, and even if I re-drill this and stick it on there, this same plastic has been subjected to the same solar radiation for the last 2 years anyway, so it's probably just going to break again. Not the sort of squall you want to see when you're out at sea there. You see how the rain is slanted down. You know, that means the downdraft is blowing this way. So if you're on this side of the storm, you're going to get winds from the north, right? They're going to blow into your face. And the problem is, it looks like that's what the wind is doing every place in the storm, but it could be coming out in all directions. In the meantime, down there to the south, I see another storm. That's over Port St. Lucie. And I don't know which way that's moving. I'm going to check the radar in a second here. Okay, here comes the rain coming across the way. It's coming from the south as well. You can see the streaks of wind, or the rain being driven at an angle, which tells you there's a lot of wind blowing from the north and the west. It looks like we're already tending that direction. All the boats in the fleet are kind of doing the same thing. We're right at slack water too, so there's not, it's that low tide just turned to start coming up. So yeah, I'm glad the boat's getting up wet. That's good. Clear in here, but it's really going to come down buckets in a minute here. I can barely see Fort Pierce now, and that's not even a mile away. So it's coming pretty heavily. I'm going to get my raincoat on and I'm going to sit up here. We'll start the engine real fast, make sure she's up to her speed and ready to go. Lightning behind the camera. There it is. Oh my god, I'm getting wet. This is why I started the engine earlier. When the storm first started, I ran the engine for about 5 minutes. Because when you start spinning like this on the anchor, boy, you just don't know if it's going to break it loose. At a high level, this is nothing compared to what we had in the hurricane last year. It just, the wind is constantly changing. Now it's coming straight from the south. 5 minutes ago, it's from the north. Chaotic, baby. I don't even know what to say. What do you say? I gave up a good salary job to sit here in a boat in the rain. That's alright though, no complaints. So here's something to think about if you're wondering what it's like. I mean, it's hot, right? This boat doesn't have air conditioning, and during the daytime, this is solid fiberglass. It's about 1 inch thick, the entire cabin top. There's no insulation. It's just a solid sheet of fiberglass. And when it gets hot, it stays hot. So this rain, the best benefit is that the heat source for the cabin has gone away. The air itself is going to remain a little bit warm even when the rain stops for quite a while, but this soaking rain we get is sufficient to cool the boat itself down. Wow, what a difference maker. And that's why I look forward to these rains every afternoon. I don't like the violent winds, of course, but that phase is done.
You can see I'm looking across the river now. I can see over to Fort Pierce itself, and there's a bridge going across. And you know, this one looks like she's kind of spent her fury, and there's almost no wind right now. It's a very slow swell. I mean, the wind, if anything, is coming from the south right now. The wind's coming from the southwest, and I think it's the rain is heavier down there. Maybe we're going to get another uptick in rain here. I don't know, but not bad. Survived another one. No lightning strikes. The marina, where I bring my dinghy to dock, right? I use our dinghy dock, and you pay for that, of course, but I know these folks pretty well at the marina. They're pretty good folks, and their Wi-Fi is out because they got hit by lightning yesterday. And so so the marina, I think the flagpole, you can see there's a great big hole burned in the ground, and they don't have Wi-Fi, which is why my videos are late getting uploaded. That's why.
Okay guys, well thank you for watching. I'm just back from another errand. I was helping another guy in his boat. His dinghy was flooding because he parked it, he beached it over there by the marina. We have a small beach there, and it filled with, he left the plug in, which is fine, but it filled with rainwater. Then it was so heavy with the rainwater, it was unable to float up with the high tide because the ass end was in the water, so the high tide overwhelmed it and basically flooded the boat. So the tide is low, so with the tide down, I went and pumped out all the water from the boat, and now at least it can float when we get the next high tide. But I'll have to check it again after every rainfall because it's just too big of a boat. It's a pretty heavy dinghy, and I can't physically move it further up the beach. It's just too damn heavy. Anyway, so I'm just sitting here having my snack time, got an orange, and we'll close this video out. So I'll close it with the next clip is some crabs that are living aboard my boat, and I'll show you them, and then we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye. Okay, something I've not noticed before is the large number of little crabs that have taken up residence on my auxiliary rudder. They don't do it on the main rudder, and they don't do it on anything else that I can see, but they're everywhere. And it's very hard to take a photograph. Very difficult to take this picture underwater because I'm sitting in the dinghy, and I'm careful about putting my hands in the water because you see the pretty jellyfish just went swimming right by. I don't want to have him come across my hands. So it's just a nasty old situation.